Today I'm going to talk to you about perfection and perfectionism. I, in part, don't believe that perfection exists. But from another perspective, I really think it does. So I wanted to talk to you about what I mean by that. So we often find ourselves striving for perfection, striving to be good enough, to be acknowledged even for being good enough, and so going for perfect seems like the best way to get there. Now I know firsthand that you can do that, like with your external body, for instance. So you can be wanting to have a perfect looking body. And it's interesting because we're all made different shapes and sizes, yet there's this kind of ideal of a perfect that is a society, press kind of led thing. Now I have very, very pale skin, and even when I tan, I still look pale. And I felt like my skin should be different most of my life. And I have people who frequently, every year, at least one person, but maybe more, who I feel are rude to me about the colour of my skin, saying I should get out in the sun more. And when I've challenged them on it, say because I look unhealthy being the colour I am. And I find it actually really frustrating because I am the colour I am, that's how I'm made. And it hit me a few years ago when I reconnected with my mum's side of the family and met my sisters, was that I thought that the colour of their skin looked beautiful. And I would never expect them to change, to be more beautiful. I would never expect them to want to change because I think how they are is beautiful, and I'm the same colour. And it just hit me, why should I change how I am to reach some external level of perfection that just isn't true for me? And I allowed myself to just kind of admit that I don't want to spray myself orange. I just want to be the colour I am and be okay with that. So I've worked on that. I also like my bone structure. It is what it is, but I've had verbal abuse in the streets because of how I look, and it's been really painful. I spent years agonising over how I look, over my bone structure, and in my 20s I really wanted to change it, and it caused me a lot of anxiety. And then one day I was sat down having lunch where I worked, and I was talking to an artist there, and he was doing a project where he was photographing lots of members of the public to make a big collage. And I said to him that, I think I should get a nose job. I think I should, because then I'd like look better, I would fit in more, I'd be more beautiful. And he was like, no, your nose is part of what defines you. It's what makes you interesting. It's what makes you you. So don't change it. Don't ever feel like you should change it. And I think he was right. It is what it is, and it's part of this vessel that's carrying me, this vessel that has a job to do. Same with my skin. Like, I don't feel like now I should change anything about myself to reach a perfection that is somebody else's view of the world. Your body is here to carry you and through this life, and I'm really grateful for what I've got now. But that's not always been the case, and I have gone through a lot of anxiety, and sometimes still I have anxiety, to be fair, over that, which I work on when it comes up, as I have EAM to do that with. So I believe that we are each perfect in that sense of we are imperfectly perfect with how we look. And if we want to change it for health reasons, then that's great. If we have an aspiration physically, great. But I don't think anyone should feel like they should change how they are for a sense of perfection externally. I also think that internally we are made perfect. When we pop out, we have a perfection to us. But as the layers of life come on, all the experiences, other people's beliefs, we take on the beliefs of our family, our tribe, our community, our schools, our bigger cultures. We take on layers and layers of shit, really, putting it bluntly, that aren't necessarily in tune with who we really are. But we take it on because that's what we're taught, and that's how we fit in. And we move further away from that inner kind of more perfectness that is us, the core of us. And so part of my role in life is helping people shed those layers, I guess. Shed the layers that just stop you from being you, stop you from being able to live in a way that is more true to you and what makes you happier. I was chatting with a relative a couple of weeks ago about a child in our family, and she was saying, yeah, that child's perfect. And I'm like, they're not perfect. And she was like, they're perfect. And I was like, no, they're not perfect. And we went on like this and got to no conclusion and left it there. And as I went away, I realised that actually, yes, that child is perfect. They are perfect at their core. They are perfect in who they are, on their journey, where they're supposed to be. And it is an imperfect perfect. They are imperfect in that they are in conflict sometimes with their environment and with their family as they're going through their journey and experiencing the world in their way. So there's an imperfection in their perfection, but it's perfectly what they're supposed to be going through right now in their journey and in their life and in their experience of the world. So it is perfect, so it's imperfectly perfect. So if you're living your life to other people's expectations, like you're trying to impress someone else, you're trying to attain perfection in order to be the best, to prove something, you are causing yourself stress and anxiety that you don't need to be having. Striving for perfection is not helpful. It's not good for you. It puts you under stress, and stress has so many negative impacts on the body. So I'm looking down at my notes down here. I have so many thoughts and it never comes out what I mean it to say, but it says something else. So it's imperfectly perfect. Perfection in itself can cause stress, it can cause anxiety. If you're striving for it, it's just not helpful. It can slow you down. If you're learning a skill and you're striving for perfection at every stage, that can slow down your learning and actually make it over time a slower journey. And at worst case scenario, it can shut you down and stop you doing what you want to do entirely, because you're making it so much harder for yourself. Whereas if you can let go of the need for perfection, for the expectation of perfection, and just let yourself be and go through life doing what you do, maybe measure yourself against yourself rather than others. I used to work with a guy who was really amazing at anything he applied himself to. So whatever instrument he learned, he got to grade 8. When he played computer games, he was pretty much always the best. And I had a chat with him about this, and I asked him about, why are you always so good at everything? And he was like, well, it's not necessarily that he's good at everything, it's that he sets himself the task of always being better than himself and not comparing himself to others. And by doing this, he allowed himself to just go at a phenomenal rate of growth on any skill he was learning. And he really was good at stuff. It was sickeningly good, and frustratingly good if you were actually playing him on a computer game. So if you take things at your own pace, measure yourself against yourself, not others, and just know that you are perfect. You are imperfectly perfect, and that is perfect. Just as you are, who you are, where you're at on your journey. So even if right now life feels shit, you feel shit a lot of the time, things are a struggle, that is still perfect in its own bizarre way. Because the things that you struggle with in life, the things that are challenges for you, they, over time, will be the things that give you the wisdom and the insight and the knowledge that you can use to help others with. That is, if you have got to the other side of those challenges. If you're stuck in them, know this, that you can move on and come to the other side of those challenges, but it's about looking for the lessons in them and taking steps to change your state. It's always coming back to you and how you're being, and knowing that the responsibility for your happiness and for your unhappiness is down to you. So I'll probably talk more about this in other videos, but so if you find that you're trying to be perfect in any way, think again. Find another measure for yourself, one that's more realistic, one that is about you being the best you can be in your life, in your day. Just go for being the best you can be today, and that's the best you can ever do today. So know that is enough. And you're perfect at your core. Where you're at right now is imperfectly perfect. And yeah, just know that just how you are is enough. Who you are is enough. What you do is enough. Okay, pop any thoughts you have below. And yeah, bye for now.